Well, I promised a Saturday afternoon show, so here you have the Saturday afternoon show. No days off right now. The 49ers open training camp in just a couple days. Tuesday, July 26th is report day. First practice will be on Wednesday around 10:15 a.m. just outside of Levi Stadium at the team facility. So that means that I will be working in overdrive to preview, set the table, get you ready for this 2022 49ers season. So hello and welcome to the channel. Those of you who are new here, make sure that you don't just like the video, make sure that you also subscribe to the channel. But both are appreciated. And today we are taking a look at 5 49ers to watch ahead of training camp. And then maybe I'll take some of your questions, make this as interactive as possible. So let's get right to it. Open up the banners. First one's first. I don't think you're surprised. Trey Lance. The 49ers need their quarterback to be good so that they can get to where they want to be, so they can reach that mountaintop. Now, I don't think that Trey Lance is going to be perfect in this 2022 season by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I think the 49ers have some growing pains baked into their overarching plans. By that, I mean, I think the 49ers confidently believe they can have a top 3 defense this year. I think they invested a ton in special teams this offseason. When you invest a ton in special teams and you have a very talented defense, well, that means that you can be good in at least 2 phases of the game. And then even if you do have some growing pains with Trey Lance, as should be expected for any young quarterback who's going to be starting his first NFL season, well, you can maybe carry the team throughout that first few, throughout those first few games, throughout that first portion of the season, you can maybe carry the team with your defense and your special teams. Then you hope that Trey Lance hits his stride later in the year. But anyway, as far as what we're looking for exactly from Lance during training camp, we want to see good mechanics. We talk about how smart Trey Lance is. We talk about how physically gifted he is. Obviously, his ceiling is stratospheric. It's way up there. But it's about putting those two together, putting together the intelligence with the physical skill set. And the bridge between those two is the mechanical bridge. How quick is the release? How well he's scanning the field? How well he's sensing the rush? I mean, everything from the obvious throwing mechanics to the more intuitive quarterback mechanics. That's what Trey Lance needs to display, that he's improved over the course of this training camp. And he's going to be facing live contact in front of him. Obviously, the quarterback's going to have a blue jersey on, but there is going to be live contact in front of him for the first time since we saw him play against the Houston Texans late last season. So training camp will be a big-time measuring stick for Trey Lance. We're obviously going to watch him. We're obviously going to list him first here because quarterback is such an important position, the most important position in football. And ultimately, as Trey Lance goes, so will the 49ers. They can go a long way with a really good defense and a solid special teams unit. But if we're talking about winning a Super Bowl, going all the way, then Trey Lance is going to have to improve over the course of this season. Trey Lance is going to have to at least be headed toward what that upper potential is. Now, in year one starting, no one is expecting Trey Lance to actually hit his ceiling. But marked progress in the right direction, rapid growth, given the fact that he started at such a low level of football relative to some of these other quarterbacks who have entered the league a couple of years ago. He was FCS, North Dakota State. You'd like to see that learning curve happen quickly for Trey Lance. You'd like to see him be a sponge, absorb all around him, and that process continues with this training camp. So Trey Lance, our first 49er to watch of training camp. Number 2, Trey Lance can only go as far as his pass protection goes. Yes, Trey Lance is a mobile quarterback. Yes, he's got a strong physical frame. He's got some escapability in the pocket. But if the pocket collapses right away, especially from the interior, Trey Lance won't be able to get away. I bring up this comparison a lot, but Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl a couple years ago, Chiefs against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that was at the end of the 2020 season. He had no chance behind a totally makeshift offensive line. So many injuries for Kansas City that year, but Mahomes was completely swamped behind that poor offensive line against the good Tampa Bay pass rush. We saw Jimmy Garoppolo in his quick release struggle behind a shoddy 49ers interior line, and then he had to play behind Tom Compton at right tackle. That wasn't pretty last year in pass protection. Well, the 49ers have lost their most durable offensive lineman, Laken Tomlinson, to the Jets. And Aaron Banks has to step up in a solid way at left guard. Otherwise, the entire equation falls apart for the 49ers. You're already having to replace center, which is really important. I'll talk about that in a bit. That's likely going to be Jake Brendel. Right guard wasn't great last year. Your right tackle, Mike McGlinchey, is coming off of a torn quad. And Trent Williams has had his share of injury problems, even though he's a dominant player when healthy at left tackle. Mix that all in with the fact that the quarterback is new. Well, I mean, this spells trouble if the 49ers can't figure it out up front. So that left guard spot is one of the positions that the 49ers absolutely must nail via their previous draft investments. And their highest previous draft investment is a guard, and it's Aaron Banks. Aaron Banks did not play last year outside of 5 garbage time snaps against Jacksonville. Well, he's going to have to play this season, and he's going to have to take over that left guard spot with some mojo. He can't just be a body out there at left guard. He's going to have to be a good, durable player at left guard. He's going to have to show that he's reworked some of his weight into more agile muscle, and he's going to have to show that the 49ers might be able to get a new dimension out of the guard position with Aaron Banks, 330 pounds in there. They need to anchor consistently in pass protection so that Trey Lance won't have defenders and pass rushers, Aaron Donald, defensive tackles in his face right away. And he's also got to be able to execute in both the outside zone and inside zone run game, because I think the 49ers are going to be a little bit more multiple in that regard. So that's a lot on the plate of Aaron Banks, a player who the 49ers say came along last season, but there just wasn't a spot to put him in since they started hitting their stride late in the year. Would have been right guard last year, right? But Daniel Brunskill started playing better toward the end of the season. So Aaron Banks rode the bench. He's not going to get to ride the bench anymore here in this 2022 campaign. All right, moving on. Player to watch, number 3, Talanoa Hufanga. The 49ers have lost Jaquiski Tartt. Didn't re-sign their starting strong safety. He's now with the Philadelphia Eagles. This appears that it's Talanoa Hufanga's job to lose. Second-year player out of USC. Played in a lot of 3 safety sets last year, was the 49ers' third safety. He's good near the line of scrimmage. The questions for Talanoa Hufanga are in coverage. Now, Jimmy Ward is the 49ers' top safety, and they're starting free safety. So there's no debate about that. But who plays opposite Jimmy Ward? Well, Tarvarius Moore has started games for the 49ers before. He tore his Achilles in the last offseason, 2021, so he missed all of the 2021 season. Moore has been back at practice. He'll be back at training camp. And Moore is going to have a chance to win this job. But it was Talanoa Hufanga that played with the first team throughout all of OTAs. George Odom, also free agent pickup from the Indianapolis Colts. He'll have a chance to win this job. But again, Talanoa Hufanga was in the driver's seat during OTAs. So we're going to watch Talanoa Hufanga. Is he going to be able to cover at the level that the 49ers need their second safety to cover at? Has he made the strides working with Troy Polamalu? I mean, the Hares made the strides, but has he made the strides working with fellow USC alum Troy Polamalu that need to be made to not just be the third safety in some kind of dime package, but to be the second strong safety playing near the line of scrimmage, covering tight ends for the 49ers? Because we can talk about the secondary till we're blue in the face, the pass rush until we're blue in the face. Charvarius Ward has beefed up the corner position. Nick Bosa should have help on the other side of the defensive line. But if there's a weak link in that secondary covering tight ends, covering running backs out of the backfield, and if it's Talanoa Hufanga, a lot of that other work is going to be wasted. So Hufanga needs to step up big this year, and we'll see if he's ready for the task, or at least start seeing if he's ready for the task during training camp. Player number 4 to watch. This is a massive hinge point, and he's a massive guy. Javon Kinlaw, defensive tackle. You know, he gets a bad rap, injury prone. Well, he started 35 of his last 37 games at college, and that was at South Carolina over his sophomore and junior seasons. And he had an ACL injury with the 49ers. That actually wasn't properly diagnosed until around mid-season of 2021. At that point, Kinlaw was shelved for the whole year, had knee reconstruction surgery, the ACL reconstruction surgery, I guess that's to say. It doesn't sound as bad as knee reconstruction surgery. And, you know, what had been a mystery ailment for several months, close to a year, the 49ers couldn't quite figure out. They think they figured it out. So assuming that Dr. Neil Elatrosh, who also successfully operated on Nick Bosa, assuming that his scope into Javon Kinlaw's knee and then his subsequent reparation surgery for Javon Kinlaw, the ACL reparation surgery, assuming that all went well and Kinlaw's 100%, this should be Kinlaw's time to shine now in year 3 in the NFL. And guess what? It's going to have to be. DJ Jones is gone. He's signed for over $10 million per year with the Denver Broncos. Obviously, DeForest Buckner, he's long gone. He's with the Colts. The 49ers in the wide 9 defense need a massive athletic body to gobble up blocks in the middle of the field, in the middle of the formation of defensive tackle, and also to be able to pass rush. Because in the NFL, if you can't get after the passer, then it doesn't matter what down it is because teams are going to be throwing. And Javon Kinlaw, he was picked in the first round, upper half of the first round. He has to deliver this year in a way that he has yet to deliver. And he's, again, they think he's got a full bill of health now. Off of the ACL surgery, he looks like he's in fantastic shape. He's motivated. He's a monster out there, pillars of granite for Cavs. But Javon Kinlaw is also the hinge point because if the interior defensive lineman can't get it done, with added responsibility in the wide nine because they're playing on islands with how elongated that defensive line is. If those guys can't get it done, then the job is harder for Nick Bosa. It's harder for Kerry Hyder. It's harder for Sansom Ebicom, for Drake Jackson, Kamoko Toure. We can go down the list of edge rushers. The edge rushers get to go one-on-one or, Bosa takes the double teams. But the edge rushers get tackles on islands. But they get tackles on islands only if the defensive tackles gobbles. If they gobble up double teams, all those blocks, and if they stop the run. And a lot of times they have to do both simultaneously. You have to fight through a double team to stymie the run. You earn the right to rush the passer. Javon Kinlaw is the guy who can earn the 49ers that right. It's a huge season for him because if he comes through, I think this defense is on its path to being a top 5 unit. Finally, 5 out of 5, the last 49er to watch, even though I'll be watching everybody, is Jake Brendel, the center. The 49ers were absolutely screwed by center instability, especially in the 2020 season, when you saw the starter, Weston Richburg, not available, when you saw Ben Garland, the backup, go down. I mean, they're on their 4th-string guy, and Hronis Grossu in that game at Seattle. That was a total disaster as far as handling pressure up the A-gap. Well, Alex Mack fixed a lot of things, right, in 2021. But Alex Mack is retired. So either you revert back to the disaster that was pre-2021, pre-Alex Mack, or you find a more suitable path moving forward. And as of now, the 49ers have elected to go with Jake Brendel, journeyman center, who can really move, really athletic guy, but he's never consistently started in the NFL. So we're going to be watching him because if Jake Brendel gets off to a rough start at such an important position, handling those A-gap blitzes, really being the conductor of the offensive line at the center position because that's the guy that's calling all the protections. If Brendel gets off to a slow start, is unable to do what Kyle Shanahan needs him to do once pads start popping in training camp, then it's emergency time for the 49ers. Then you could say, hey, maybe they're going to go sign somebody off the street. J.C. Tretter's still out on the street. J.C. Tretter, good center for the Browns, although he's got some suspect knees. He's still a free agent. So let's watch Brendel, see how he does. He's got chemistry with Trey Lance because he was the backup center last year, snapping the Lance, the backup quarterback throughout the year. But if Brendel's not ready to go, the 49ers are going to have to make a move. That's going to be code red at the center position. All right, those are the 5 to watch. Lance, Banks, Hufanga, Kinlaw, and Brendel. The 49ers training camp preview. It's now time for me to answer about 5 questions, and then I've got to get going. So water now, pour in the questions, pour in the likes. By the way, it's going to take me 10 seconds to drink a little bit of water here. So while I'm drinking, while I'm quiet, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, hit the little notification button. All right, you got 5 seconds to do it. Ready, set, go. All right, let's see. What do you guys have to ask? You have record predictions. Lupe N says 11-6 for the 49ers. All-Pro Talanoa Hufanga. Well, I mean, that might lead the 49ers to the Super Bowl if Talanoa Hufanga plays an All-Pro level. That'd mean a lot of interceptions. I would say under 7 sacks for Javon Kinlaw. 7 sacks is a lot. I think the 49ers would be thrilled if he had 5. The sacks are normally going to come from the edge rushers. If they're coming from the inside, that's really special. But seven's a lot. Kamoko Toure is coming off a good year last year with the Colts. He had 5.5. Kerry Hyder blew up for the 49ers in 2020. He had 8.5. I don't think he's going to get that again. Bosa last year had 15.5. 7's a lot for an interior defensive lineman. Remember, Kinlaw's a big body. The pass rushing, a little unpolished. I think he's getting more polished. I think we're going to see the best of him this season, but 7 would be a lot. All right. David, the most important group of people for the 49ers are the injury gods. As always, but that's important around the whole league. There's talent really on every team. It's about depth, and it's about withstanding injuries. But if you have depth, you could withstand more of the injuries. Looks like I'm watching Merton Hanks. Are you saying my neck is long? That's kind of funny. I don't think my neck's as long as Merton Hanks. Merton Hanks will be the Chicken dance right there, right? A little chicken dance in Merton Hanks. Now, I used to be able to do a really good one of those, but I feel like I could snap my neck if I did too much. Plus, Merton Hanks, how did he not snap his neck when he did the chicken dance? All right, guys, let's sack that like button. I like that. Thanks, Niner by Nature 88. Were you born in 1988? Because I was born in 1988. Now you guys know how old I am. May 5th, 1988, Cinco de Mayo, David Lombardi's birthday. Dre Greenlaw Pro Bowl? I mean, that would be good for the 49ers. Greenlaw or Alshire, both of those guys will be unrestricted free agents after this season, or are scheduled to be right now. The 49ers will likely have to pick one of the two to retain. They're probably not going to pay both of them. So I see this as a contract audition year for Azeez Alshire and Dre Greenlaw. Fred Warner's obviously locked up for the long term, but Greenlaw and Alshire, who's going to last with the 49ers past 2022? That's a big question. No, I don't expect Kalia Davis to get reps in camp. I don't think he's going to play in 2022. Still coming off that ACL. He's probably going to be a pup guy. So Kalia Davis is more of a future stash for the 49ers, 6th-round pick out of Central Florida. Who's the interception leader this year? Jimmy Ward. Jimmy Ward's been talking so much shit. He likes being the villain. I mean, he even said, I'm the villain now. You know, I got to find that. Why don't we find that article? I'm the villain now, Jimmy Ward. I think this is it. I think I got it for you guys. Yep, this is it. This is it. I have a Jimmy Ward article that I wrote back in May 24th. It's going to be the 2-month anniversary of this piece, which I'm about to share on the screen. There you go. Jimmy Ward looks to fire up the defense and quarterback Trey Lance. Check out the chat section. Subscribe to The Athletic through this sucker right here. That's the link. It's in the chat section. I'll put it in the comment section as well. But in short, Jimmy Ward talks mess to Trey Lance, their locker room neighbors. And the final quote of this article is, I'm not very likable. I understand I'm the villain now, so they can't turn me into the villain. I'm already the villain. I'm going to talk my shit, and I'm going to back it up. I like that. And I think that means that Jimmy Ward may have some interceptions coming his way. Let's see. That's the final kind of component of his game, right? He does everything so well. He had 2 in 1 quarter against the Rams last year, but needs a few more takeaways. And that's what Ward has challenged himself to do. The 49ers carry 11 or 12 D linemen. Well, you know, they used to carry 10, but now they're so deep, I think they're going to have to carry 11 unless they have a lot of injuries. And 12 is not out of the question. But if I had a bet, I would say 11. Thanks, Steven. I appreciate you. Truman 49 says Moore beats out Hufanga. It's possible. Moore was behind Hufanga in OTAs, but Moore was also coming off of the Achilles injury. Does Verrett get significant playing time this year? If he does, the 49ers are in business. Remember, Jason Verrett last signed a deal coming off an injury for a veteran minimum, was a flyer, right? They got him on a flyer in 2020. Nobody expected anything, and Verrett showed up and played Pro Bowl level football. Then Verrett got hurt again in 2021 after getting paid a little bit more. So now we have a repeat of 2020. He signed again for the minimum flyer deal. If he does that, well, if he does what he did in 2020 and does it again in 2022, you will have Charvarius Ward, really good corner on one side, Jason Verrett, really good corner with a lot to prove on the other. Then you could put Mosley wherever you want to, maybe even do some nickel snaps for Mosley, you know, whatever. But, I mean, Verrett playing well along with Charvarius Ward playing well, talking top 2, top 1, maybe top defense in the league, right? Because then you have 2 really good corners and you have a really good pass rush, the best linebacking core in the league. Man, Verrett, that would be icing on the cake. They're not reliant on Verrett, but boy, would that be an amazing boost for the 49ers. Who's my dark horse at nickel? He said Jimmy Ward. Well, who would play safety then? You would have Moore. You'd have Tarvarius Moore and Talanoa Hufanga play safety. I just think that they like Jimmy Ward so much at safety that it's hard for me to see him moving down. Darquez Denard, speaking of a dark horse. I mean, in the 18 snaps that he delivered for the 49ers last year, those were critical. Week 18 against the Rams, Cooper Kupp didn't do anything. And I think that Denard's a veteran. He's been around the block mentally, cerebrally. He knows what he's doing. You can count on him. I think Denard is the guy who's going to be the leader in the clubhouse there. With Samuel Womack III, the rookie, who's got all those great measurables out of Toledo, he's the longer-term project for the 49ers at the nickelback position. Trey Sermon be a key player this year? Very possibly. I think the 49ers really want to emphasize running back by committee this year. They're going bigger in the backfield. Sermon's what, 215, 211 to 215. They're not going 195 pounds anymore. And they're not going one guy or two guys. They want to go four, maybe even five guys throughout the season because guys have gotten hurt too often. That by committee system is going to be big for the 49ers. And hey, Anthony Lynn's going to run a multiple attack. He's going to run inside. He's going to run outside. Put on the tape for Sermon at Ohio State. The guy's a slasher, right? He loved those inside runs. And I think with Trey Lance, you're going to see a little bit more of that. So you could let Lance go to the sideline. Sermon's going to have to take some of those interior runs. Doesn't really have the speed and the burst to be a consistent outside zone runner at this level. But I think he could slash on the inside for sure. So I think Trey Sermon, I mean, if he's a key player, again, that'd be good news for the 49ers. All right. I think we finished the questions. Oh, here's a good one. James Foster. Ward thrives on communication. Hufanga thrives on instinct. Am I the only one who thinks that's a bad pairing? I mean, you can't. I hope that Hufanga can communicate as well. It's not like it's one or the other, right? I think that instinct is something that Jimmy Ward should have too. You have to have a combination of communication and instinct. It's not just robotic communication, right? So I don't think that the reason that you outlined is a reason that it's going to be a bad pairing. I think you have to see what balance of communication and instinct both Ward and Hufanga can deliver before you can make an accurate appraisal. And that's something that we'll start to see during training camp. If Jimmy G is still on the roster, how will that affect Trey Lance's development? I don't think it will. Trey Lance developed last year behind the scenes. Jimmy Garoppolo has shown nothing but being a good teammate. So, I mean, if Trey Lance is their guy, if they want to develop Trey Lance, if they want to have Garoppolo around as insurance for training camp or whatever, I think these personalities that the 49ers have in the building, these guys are all professionals. And it's the fans that argue about this kind of stuff. Maybe on other teams it happens, but I haven't seen any kind of infighting that would slow down Trey Lance with this 49ers locker room. Jordan Mason, 220 plus pounds out of Georgia Tech, runs tough, runs big. And my thoughts are it's really interesting that the 49ers, for the first time under Kyle Shanahan, have two backs who weigh over 220 pounds, right? Jordan Mason and Ty Davis-Price. They're going for bulk. They're going for some inside runs at that running back position. They're trying to outmuscle you this year. Defenses are getting smaller. Defensive backs can't tackle. And the 49ers running backs have gotten too hurt over the past few years. They're trying to fix that problem with somebody like Jordan Mason. You see Mostert doing well in Miami. If he stays healthy, I see him doing well anywhere. Miami's the fastest offense in the league. I mean, between Raheem Mostert, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, I mean, even the quarterback obviously can run a little bit. And Tua, Miami's really fast, and we know Mike McDaniel loves speed. So if he stays healthy, Raheem Mostert could be the fastest player in football, fastest running back in football for sure, fastest offensive weapon. Yeah. So if he stays healthy, I love Raheem Mostert. The health has been an issue. And one reason the 49ers have kind of gravitated away from pure speed to more size at running back is because they realize that, hey, if you're asking guys to be fast and physical like Raheem Mostert, they might get hurt. And the 49ers cannot afford the rash of injuries that they've seen in the past at the running back position. The fans have really been overthinking things this offseason. They have, which is why I hope they tune into this channel. Again, I have to drink water. You guys have 10 seconds. Like and subscribe. Ready, set, go. We're at 97 concurrent viewers. If we get up to 100, maybe I could sign off early. 96. I just went down one. Tay Martin can move too. A lot of, it's just going to be tough to crack the 49ers 53-man roster receiver, barring injuries. I like Taser Mack. I like Tay Martin. Both of those guys, to me, I noticed at OTAs. So it's just, do the 49ers carry 5? Do they carry 6 receivers? And if they carry 6, I mean, we know the top 5 already. Debo, Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, Ray McLeod, Danny Gray. That's 5. Now, who's the 6th? Is it a guy like Malik Turner, a veteran? Or, does one of these rookies impress you so much, like Tay Martin, Taser Mack, during training camp that you carry them? But I'm not even sure if they carry 6. So the practice squad is probably going to be a valuable thing for the 49ers. All right, good stuff. I appreciate you answering my question. Says, I see you, punk. No, I'm not calling you a punk. I'm just reading your name. But I really do appreciate you saying that as well. All right, guys, it is Saturday. I'm going to go relax. I have an event to be at tonight, so I will talk to you all soon. Like and subscribe. I'll talk to you several times before the start of training camp. We are kicking it into full gear here, so thank you again for joining the show. Bye now.